Play is art. When you are playing, you are creating. Or maybe a differentiation is needed between creation and art. So you have high art, you have all these different kinds of art. But today is Venus Day, so how can you free yourself? How can you make your life beautiful? Not up here. Not in the ideal. But how can you work towards the ideal? Work. It's active. And it feels very different from dreaming. And sometimes you can catch yourself in the present, realizing that you are living what was one day a dream. So then Seven of Pentacles, how do you reflect on that? Like, how do you look back at your progress? And can you nourish yourself? Venus, again. Can you look back and be grateful for how far you have come? Can you see yourself, your younger self, your 15, 12, 7-year-old self looking in the mirror? Envisioning you, feeling like they're not quite right because they don't look like you yet. And now when you look in the mirror, can you recognize that you are them? You are the person that they longed to be. And the person that you are comparing yourself to is who you are becoming. It's brilliant. You don't have to suffer for it. It's just that creating is different from the ideal. Virgo, at their very best, understands this so deeply. The Virgos in my life, oh my God, are the most creative, witty people I know. I love them so much. They're working towards the ideal. That's the thing. They're not stuck. They're not stuck in the ideal. If you ask them what their ideal even is, their muse, if you will, if you have this thing that is external to you, that is what you are working towards. I've heard people put it like, if you're a seamstress, this is the sort of dress that your dream client would ask for. You know, that's the muse, that's the ideal. The Virgo, that's ingrained in them, that is always what they are working towards. But their work is present and grounded. They're focused in on the process. They're focused on perfecting the process. This is mutable earth. They are taking the fire of Leo, the sun, the brightness of Leo, of summer, and transitioning it into autumn, transitioning the sun of Leo into Venus, into Libra, the sign of balance and beauty. And they are doing this methodically and materially. They are here. So this Venus day, with Venus being in Virgo, know that every time that you're playing, that is the creative act. It might not look like the ideal, but that is the process. Can you learn from your Virgo friends? Anyways, astrology and tarot really helped me to process my emotions, process my thoughts, give language to them that is rich in symbolism and history and emotion and story. So I like that. But if that language doesn't vibe with you, or if you wish to throw new language into my bubble, always feel free to comment or leave. This bubble doesn't have to be for you. But I talk to the camera like I talk to my future self. And I know that everything that I say, she would listen to and empathize with. Because she is me and I am her. Just experiencing different times. So I'm not going to change myself for lessons I haven't learned yet. Like, I'm aware, I'm conscious that this conversation is all over the place, and I can see my future self looking back with a smile. Not a sad smile, just a smile of look at how we've grown. Look at how our confidence has grown. And an appreciation for my expression being different from hers. Not just for getting her to where she is now, but for allowing myself to express. Because that's what she wants for me. That's what I want for everybody. Does this seem ungrounded? Maybe. Or does this seem incredibly grounded? I don't know. But this morning I drew the cards 10 of Wands in reverse and the Sun. And this was so clear. Release your burdens. Release everything that you don't have to carry. You don't have to suffer to experience your light. The more that we release, the freer we are to share our love into the world. All these ideas about what to say next, what to create next, are ideas. They're not bad, but it's not the same as doing the dishes. You know, thinking about how you're going to perfect doing the dishes even is not the same as doing the dishes. And like, perfection comes through that process. And you might not ever ride that perfection depending on what you think perfection is and what your relationship to that is. But it's a direction. I see it as a direction. And it exists in the present. It exists here in conversation, in whatever it is that you want to create. How can you collapse that want into action? Well, I posed a question. You can click off now if you'd like, but I'll get into some tarot for it. Today I discovered the word Denpa, by the way. This is a significant day in the history of the Maraverse. I discovered what Denpa is, and I'm still learning, but essentially it was a culture or subculture. It began as people believing that radio waves were communicating with them, and grew into music and art, stories, mostly visual novels, that carry a sense of unease. Because it makes the viewer, the experiencer, question the nature of their reality and the validity of their reality. And it can feel very isolating, because you realize that if everybody's reality is different, how can we ever truly communicate with each other? We're just talking to ourselves and talking to the void. And I think throughout my life I found a lot of creativity and loneliness. I do have Venus in Aquarius in my natal chart. And I think even now I can have this urge to create in solitude. And I'm okay with that. I can create with other people too, but there's something very precious to me about talking to myself, or creating in a way that feels like talking to myself. The tarot card that came out was the Lovers, and I'm not sure whether it meant to come out in reverse or upright. Now a message that's coming to mind is you send your prayer out and then you live. You ask for love and you live. You ask for your aesthetic, your style, your body, whatever material good you want, whatever reality you want to look a certain way. You do your visualization, and then you live. Don't shame yourself for your visualization. Engage with it with curiosity. And if you do find yourself shaming yourself, it's not your fault. This Lover's card is so tender. And I want to ask what cards, why the Lovers came out. Are roses significant to anybody? Oh no, now I feel like crying. I have the Little Prince coming to mind. The Little Prince had to leave his rose to learn about the world and to learn about his own strengths and weaknesses before he came back and was able to understand love a little bit more. Or so we'd hope. Why is the Lover's card coming out? Okay, I'm not going to look at the cards, but we have the Eight of Swords that maybe wanted to come out. Now to keep talking to myself. All of this practice, like you notice it when you're in touch with yourself. Humming to yourself, it's singing practice. It's just in a different container than going to like, if you're singing to yourself in the stairway or singing to yourself in the halls, in your room, in your everyday speech, you're tuning in with your voice. It's the same function as going to one-on-one singing practice, except for going to that one-on-one singing practice might have the benefit of you can write it on a resume or write it on school applications, or it can create connections or just a different experience. But if your goal is to tune in with your voice, if your goal is to strengthen that part of you, recognize you're already doing that. That's a part of that Seven of Pentacles. But anyways, we have the Knight of Pentacles in reverse that fell on the floor, and we have the Four of Pentacles that came out, clarifying the Lovers. This is what you're working towards. I think the Lovers is your wish. You want a fairy tale. I want a fairy tale. The message is you're already living it. You're already living it, and the more that you try to force it, the more that you feel like it's something that you have to do, this figure, they're looking down. They can't see the sun behind them because their load is so heavy. They can't feel light. They can't absorb that light. But this sun figure is so free. I mean, granted, they're looking down as well, but they're looking down in embrace with the sun because it's too bright, perhaps. Or they're looking down with love at the sunflowers being nourished by their light. The light of their story. The light of them living in their truth. Yeah, with the Knight of Pentacles in reverse. That's stepping back from material pursuits. Stepping back from trying to materialize your vision. Recognize that your vision exists separate from the material. And when your vision changes, chances are you have what was once that vision, what was once that wish, what was once that dream, integrated into your material reality. Does that make sense? Going back to that mirror analogy, if I'm looking in the mirror and I realize that my ideal self has shifted, okay? Thank you, mind. Thank you for that vision. Let me pause and then let me think back to who was my ideal self months ago, years ago. And oftentimes when I do that, I recognize that I am exactly her. So before you get caught up in perfection, can you recognize and be at peace with where you're at? Can you be at peace? Can you know that you can move forward while being at peace? That this load that you are carrying isn't actually making your efforts any more worth it, it's just weighing you down. You can move forward in a stable manner. But what is it that you're taking on? Oh, wow! Queen of Pentacles. And the Well. Yep. I wondered if that would come up when I started talking about wishes. I want to see if there's a zodiac sign or specific energy that aligns with the Queen of Pentacles. Because immediately, this is just, with all of these pentacles coming through, it's like you feel this pressure to make money. You feel this pressure to be materially stable. And maybe you're missing that. It's that feeling of stability that really matters. And that's something that you have access to. You're actually very good at. You're trying to be the Queen of Pentacles, but you are already the Queen of Pentacles. You're not the Knight. You don't need to go towards it. You are already her. You don't need to work towards being her. You're already the Queen of Pentacles, and you can use that to share your light. Your Queen of Pentacles might look different than somebody else's Queen of Pentacles. You know, your light, it might look different than somebody else's. What do you have to share? Is it art? Is it your voice? Is it money? If it's money, I mean, I can leave my link for donations in the description, but you never ever have to. But if you did, I would certainly buy some very nice groceries. Yeah, I think that's the message. I just want to get one more card. I know I said I look up Queen of Pentacles. Actually, no. I'll look up Queen of Pentacles. Queen of Pentacles. So you're always going to be learning. And you want that. You asked for that. Okay. Let's see if there's signs. Sagittarius, 20 degrees Sagittarius to 20 degrees Capricorn. And guess who has a 25 degree Sagittarius sun? Passion, vitality, the rabbit, red roses. Whoa. Okay, this came up for me as a sense of home earlier. So this is about home and love. This is wish fulfillment. I'll end this with I'll end this there. You're on the path. That's it. I love you. And I know you love me.